On the list of things I've always wanted to do in a video game, getting into a spaceship and seamlessly flying to a strange new world is near the top. No Man's Sky finally achieves that dream, and it's spectacular. It's what makes this game worth trying out, even through the devastating realization that most of the crafting, combat, and other activities you do on and between those planets ranges between bemusing and outright bad. No Man's Sky attempts to be many things, but it only pulls off a few. It's a survival game that's afraid to kill or punish you. It's a crafting game with upgrades that don't feel worth the effort. It's a combat game with boring and repetitive battles. It's an unimaginably huge open universe that invites exploration, but one where nothing of significance ever happens. Its greatest strength is its visual variety. The 18 quintillion planets we can explore are all procedurally generated, which means even the developers at Hello Games haven't seen how the possibilities they set up will turn out. I've seen some crazy places and creatures in my travels, and discovering them is rewarding. The problem is that after you've seen them and thought, wow, that's weird, there's virtually nothing to do with them that you haven't done 100 times before. Their looks vary, but they're mechanically all but identical. Nearly every resource is harvested in the same 3 ways, and that never changes. And the clumsy, cursor-driven interface is just a hassle that doesn't make all the inventory management you have to do any better. I have to call out the technical problems, because this is the crashiest game I've ever played on PlayStation 4. I've had over a dozen. Between those and the distracting pop-in you see when you pick up speed, No Man's Sky has some issues that are hard to ignore. But even if you do, No Man's Sky's moment-to-moment gameplay gets stale very quickly. It's supposedly a survival game, yet staying alive is trivially easy. All the basic resources you need to recharge your gear and stay alive and moving are so plentiful it's all but pointless. Plus, surviving on a planet that's hot is exactly the same as surviving on a planet that's cold, or one that's toxic. And if you do die, there are almost no consequences. The stakes are just laughably low. Both on the ground and in your ship, you're best off avoiding combat. Not because it's difficult, it really isn't, but because it's boring. On the ground, the robotic universal cops are pushovers who usually can't be bothered to chase you for more than 30 seconds. And in space, you'll find the most simplistic and uninteresting dogfighting I've seen in years. My search for interesting, intelligent life also came up empty. This universe may be huge, but there's little flavor in it outside of some cool spaceship designs. The 4 intelligent races you'll encounter don't do anything. They just stand around by themselves in sad little space habitats. They don't have any agenda or conflicts, so there's no reason to get to know them or align with them. I do enjoy talking to them though. Uncovering their languages word by word leads to some intriguing puzzles. The ultimate goal of No Man's Sky, other than exploration and following the 3 vague story paths, is to reach the galactic core. At this time, I'm nowhere near that. The distance is so huge it could take weeks or months of play to travel there. Yet after about 50 hours worth of exploring, I've stopped seeing new tech upgrades, which leads me to believe I've seen just about all of the non-randomized gameplay content. That has killed my motivation to grind onward. Without meaningful progression, I'd just be lost in space. No Man's Sky has sci-fi spectacle on its side, but not much else. Its gameplay is underdeveloped and repetitive, and in my dozens of hours played, it's introduced very few new ideas to mix it up. The promise of a limitless universe ended up working against it when I lost faith that it had meaningful new things to show me. This incredibly ambitious game reached for the stars, but its reach exceeded its grasp by light years. For more on No Man's Sky, stick with IGN.